Hey, soul seekers, it's intuitive energy healer Kathy Weiss here. Welcome to this week's episode of Monday Messages. I'm coming to you live from my reading room here on the Central Coast of California, and today is Monday, April 8th, 2019. I am so thrilled to be here with you today. I've got a really fun episode and some really great inspiring and healing messages for you that are lined up. And we're going to dive right into this gorgeous crystal that I have down here in front of me. So if you're new to me, I often bring in the energy or the color of a certain crystal. It's very intuitive for me. I just know what we all sort of collectively need each week. And today I've got aquamarine, really gorgeous shade of light minty green. I even kind of, grabbed my green sweater here to like line up with that energy. So aquamarine has the healing energy of the ocean, and it is a stone of courage. So and what's interesting about the aquamarine today is like I can almost taste the salt air in my mouth when I knew that it was what I needed to bring for us today. And so while it's the stone of courage and protection, what I'm hearing and feeling more for all of us collectively is that it's time to get ourselves in or near the ocean and really feel that salt air and that wind and that spray. If you're someone who doesn't live near an ocean or a body of salt water, you can create that energy and that feeling for yourself in your home by using either a salt rock lamp, or you can take a bath with some Epsom salts in it to create that same energy and vibration. And there's a lot kind of coming up today for all of us around the idea of the crystals and how sometimes the same themes come up. So I know this isn't the first time we've talked about getting ourselves in or around or near salt water and using the energy of salt lamp. And I'm being asked to explain to you a little bit about why sometimes certain messages or certain healing processes get repeated. So we're going to jump back almost to like probably junior high or eighth grade or middle school science. And we know that all things are made up of atoms, molecules, electrons, protons, and they're all bouncing around and vibrating. And they get together. And when certain collections of them get together, they create a physical object like a crystal or a pen or a table or whatever it is. And so those molecules and electrons and atoms and all those things, as they kind of get together and hang out, they're creating a consistent frequency or a consistent vibration that creates the physical form. So as humans, we've got the same thing going on. We're just a whole bunch of bouncing around vibration of different collections of things that create our physical form, anything from the size and shape of our body and our bones and our internal organs and our hair and all of that. The biggest challenge that we have as humans is that we are also an electrical being, right? Our thoughts are bouncing around in our heads and they are electrical currency. And what that means is that the electrical currency is traveling through our body and it's changing our vibration. So our humanity, which is natural and normal and healthy, like the nature of it is that we change our vibration. We don't hold it steady. And so we've got to often come back around to the things that heal our vibration or elevate our vibration or help us just feel better, because we don't hold steady, nor are we meant to. So don't beat yourself up if you're like, yeah, but 6 weeks ago I went to the ocean. Shouldn't I be on track? It's like, well, you probably were, and now it's time to go back. It's like this constant refilling of your energetic cup. And so that's why this energy is returning for us this week. So just hear that when things come back, it's that for that reason. So we're going to dive into today a little bit of story time about your spirit guides and angels and one of my spirit guide and angels and what her purpose is. So it's kind of a really fun story, and it's in two parts. one part of today's story is actually in this week's newsletter. So if you are someone who subscribes to my newsletter, make sure that you open it up and read it, because you're going to hear read here the first part of the story in the newsletter. If you don't get my newsletter and that's intriguing to you, private message me your email address and I'll make sure you get on that list. Or you can pop over to my website, which is Kathy-Weiss.com, and subscribe there. And when you do it that way, you also get a free bonus of a free Monday mini session with me. So that could be a little bit of a fun incentive to sign up that way on my website. Here's the deal. I have 3 spirit guides and angels. And I also have this huge long line of spirit guides and ascended masters that trail away from me. And I have experienced and felt them for myself. And I also have a really amazing Reiki practitioner who has affirmed for me this same thing, that there is this huge long line of spirit guides and ascended masters trailing away from me. And when I first learned about this was the same day I learned about my main man, Norman Paul, that I talk about in this week's newsletter. And it was astounding to me. Like, I always knew and felt I had these 3 spirit guides and angels, but this concept of this huge long line of them was like, why me? Why do I have so many? And it felt like this huge responsibility, or this huge, like, I don't know, like that so much energy lined up for me. I felt obviously very grateful and appreciative, but also a little bit scared and confused. Like, why do I have all of these spirit guides and angels? Along with my 3 that are like mine. So I've got my main man. I have another one that I talk about in the newsletter this week that I call my driving angel, and you can meet her also briefly in this week's newsletter. And then I have this third angel, and I've just always known and trusted that she was there. I didn't know why or what her purpose was, and I never really inquired. I've just always known I have these guides and angels, and when I met Norman Paul, I realized what his purpose was in my life, and I've always known about my driving angel. And so this third one, I just trusted and knew that she was there with me for a reason. So maybe about 3 weeks ago now, I was on a podcast interview with this lovely woman, and because the universe likes to play games with us, that whole entire podcast file was corrupted. So sadly, you can't hear it yet, but we are going to re-record and get that information out to you. But we started talking a little bit about spirit guides and angels in that podcast. And she asked me about my 3 guides. And I said to her, well, I don't really know what this third angel, what her purpose is for me. And it was like the moment I opened up the inquiry, I knew the answer. And I'm sharing this story with you because you have spirit guides and angels with you. And if you don't know who they are or what their purpose is, all you have to do is open up the conversation and have an inquiry with them. And I also explain how to do that in today's newsletter as well. But what was really interesting is I realized I had never once asked her or inquired as to what her purpose was. I just trusted that she had one. And the moment I inquired, I knew exactly, because I am clairvoyant, which means that when I get into a space where I'm in the flow, I see images in my mind that communicate the meaning. And so in that moment of knowing, I saw her standing with a clipboard, and her whole purpose is to call the spirit guides and angels. Hey, Tiffany. Her whole purpose is to call the spirit guides and angels that I need out of this long line. She calls them to the front of the line. And in my own personal life, I said recently to someone like, oh yeah, I've got this new spirit guide or angel with me. And she was like, wait, they come and go? And I don't, maybe that doesn't happen for everybody, but for me, spirit guides and angels come and go. My 3 main ones with me all the time, but other ones come and go. And so I learned that this angel's purpose in my life is that she calls forward who I need at different times to help me through different phases of my life. So, for example, it's not a secret that my husband and I are moving to Australia at the end of this year. And recently I had a spirit guide arrived named Wantu, and Wantu means instantaneous. And his arrival and his purpose is to help us instantaneously have success through each step of the process of preparing to move to Australia. And I know that when that process is finished, he'll leave me. And so this is a part of what this long line of spirit guides and angels is about. But the thing is, all those spirit guides and angels and ascended masters, they're not all for me. And this is where it gets really freaking cool, you guys. Some of that, I mean, and this is like an infinite line that goes on forever. Some of the people in that line, or guides and angels in that line, are yours. Your spirit guides, I'm going to get teary eyed. It's ridiculous. Your spirit guides and angels are lining up because they know that I am a willing and able channel to communicate with them for you. And the purpose of my spirit guide and my angel is to call them forward to the front of the line the moment you're ready. The moment you book a session with me, the moment you ask a question, the moment you get the courage to reach out, my angel's purpose is to call your guides out of that line right to the front so that I can have a conversation with them for you. And I get it because some of us are new to understanding our spirit guides and angels. Some of us, as much as we yearn to have a conversation with them, we don't know how, or for whatever reason, we can't hear what they're trying to say to us. And I get it. It's a little bit of, it's something that takes practice and it's a skill. Or sometimes, because we have more than one, most of us have about three. If they're all talking at once, it makes it really hard to hear what they're saying. And so, how amazing is it that my whole life I've had this angel and not known her purpose until recently? And to know what, like, how incredible it is that her whole purpose is to get your guide to the front of the line so that we can help you. Like, that just blows my freaking mind. And it makes my heart like want to explode with joy because it's such a gift and it's such an honor. And I love doing it, by the way. I don't think it's weird or creepy, or I don't question it. I'm 100% accurate every single time, and it's just amazing. So if you're someone who is like ready to get your spirit guide or your angel to the front of my line, like, let's have a conversation. So that is my story about how I found out the whole purpose of my angel and I keep pointing over here because in my mind and the way I feel my angels is that, like, my main man, Norman Paul, is always in front of me. My driving angel is over here on my right, and this angel is over here on my left side. Always, for my whole entire life. That's how it's been. So that's the story. And questions or comments, feel free to throw them out down here. What we're going to do next is move on to pulling an oracle card to sort of support not only this message that I was talking about at the beginning of today's video about the aquamarine and the energy of the ocean. And if you missed it, make sure afterwards you jump back and see it. But what also I'm hearing is that we're going to line up a little bit more information for you around spirit guides and angels to wrap things up for today. And I'm using the Oracle of the Mermaids deck. I know it's reversed. If you're new to hanging out with me, I use the reverse camera, and that's the way it happens. Because of the energy of the ocean. The energy of the ocean is really calling pretty strongly right now, and that's why I decided to go with this deck. I'm going to give it a little bit of a shuffle. And while I do, remember the cards are not fortune tellers, and neither am I. I have a lot of really cool things that I can do, but I can't predict your future because you have free will. When you work with me and I offer you the guidance and information that's coming through from source energy and from your own physical energy, it's up to you to follow the guidance or not. So the results and the outcome are still ultimately your responsibility and in your hands. So when I'm working with someone, I let them choose if they want to pick from the top, the middle, or the bottom of the deck. But if y'all look really closely, there is a very definitive break in the deck today. And that's always an indicator of that. Or sometimes like a card will like flip out while I'm shuffling or something like that. And that's how we know that's today's card. So we have energy field adjustment or a cleansing, excuse me, or a cleansing and health. Okay, there we go. Energy field adjustment. So it's a lot about what I was talking about at the top of the video with the aquamarine and the energy of the ocean and cleansing. So if we go back to a little bit talking about the how physical objects hold their vibration, they're still affected by the vibration around us. Like you can see the rice experiment online, or there are similar experiments with water and ice crystals, and how the vibrations that come out of us affect the physical um, objects. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word for that right now, you guys. So the thing is we have to like cleanse that, and so we put positive energy back into physical objects, we put positive energy back into our bodies. And so if you're like, yeah, not anywhere near an ocean, or not gonna happen, or I hate baths, I'm not going to get into a salt bath, like whatever. You can also use sage and burn sage and have the smoke around the house. And that has been proven to have at least a 24-hour effect of reducing bacterial count in the environment. So that's also a really great way to cleanse not only your physical environment, but also your body and your energy. I'm going to pop into the guidebook today because I'm hearing there's just one last thing that needs to come forward to wrap up this week's episode of Monday Messages. She says, it's a time to cleanse and clear your aura, immediately without delay, addressing its imbalances and lovingly tending to its needs and giving it as much priority as your own physical body at this time. Amen. 100%. Let me quickly explain to you what your aura is so you understand that. Your aura is your electromagnetic vibration that extends away from your physical body. Again, this is something that we have proven with science. We know that we vibrate and extend away from our body. And the way that you cleanse it, it can be these external things: going to the beach, hanging out in nature, using sage. It's also a little bit internal by being a little more mindful about like what types of TV shows or music you're listening to, the food that you eat, and even most importantly, being super aware of the thoughts that you're thinking. Because again, your thoughts are these electrical impulses that travel through your body, and they create a vibration in your body that then moves away from your physical body. And so by cleansing all of that, what happens is then that vibration moving away from you is going to be affecting your physical environment as well as the people around you. Guys, we're like kind of wandering all over the place with Monday Messages today, and that's okay because I'm hearing it's really important. So we're going to keep going just a tiny bit more. Have you ever walked into a room and you're like, oh my God, it feels so good in here, and you don't even know why? Or walked into a different room or even the same room on a different day and been like, something feels off, or it feels cold. And I don't mean physically cold, like it feels cold in here. Like I don't want to be in this room. That is 100% because the people that were in the room and the energy that they exude, again, it's not as dramatic as the way humans change their vibration, but we know, we've seen in science experiments that the vibration that people put out affects the physical objects. And again, if you haven't watched either the rice experiment or there are ice crystal experiments where they show that the energy that people give off affects the structure and the shape and the experience of these physical objects, because it's all vibration. And while it's happening on a very super small, subtle level, it's happening. So your guides are asking you, number one, to start to have a conversation with them. Number two, when you're ready and you're feeling courageous, or that you just know, or you're intrigued, or you've got this impulse that you want your guide pulled out of this crazy long line that's extending from me, all you have to do is reach out and we can book a session. We can drop you into Monday Minis for a little quickie, or we can have something that's longer and more intimate and more impactful in your life in a private session. I'm going to drop links underneath the video, but all of that is on my website at kathy-weiss.com. And your guides are saying, oh, and in my newsletter today, I'm going to talk about how you can initiate the conversation with your guides if that is something you're unfamiliar with. And then lastly, cleanse your aura in some way. And again, if you're not sure, you want more information, I'm always 100% happy to share it with you. All you have to do is ask a question and the answers will come. You are so welcome, Anna Marie. I'm glad that you dropped in to hear what you needed to hear. And I'm so glad for all of you who watched either live or later. You guys are awesome. If you want to make sure you never miss an episode of Monday Messages, subscribe to my newsletter and you'll get them every week into your inbox. You can just shoot me your email address, or you can subscribe on my website. And if you do it that way, you also get a free Monday mini session. So you might want to do it that way and treat yourself to something special. You guys are great. I love you 100%. I will be back next Monday with another episode of Monday Messages. And until then, I look forward to seeing you in Monday Minis or a private session, or just over here on Facebook or even on Instagram at lightworker_Kathy. You guys are awesome. Have a great week. I love y'all. Namaste. Bye. Bye twice. Love you.